Well, I'm just in line at Costco right now to get some gas. I have had my new tires for a few weeks. Those are the Nokian Outpost ATs, 235, 65, 17. I'm running those on some Sparco Terra wheels, also in 17-inch, obviously. And I've had them all for a few weeks, but have not yet had a chance to take them out for some actual mountain driving until today. So I'm just getting gassed up, and then I will be on my way out along Highway 2 into the Central Cascades of Washington State to see what I can find. All right, I'm all gassed up and on my way out of town. So got probably maybe an hour and a half of driving to get out to where I get to get off of the pavement. So we will, all traffic depending, of course, we'll see how long it takes us. I am headed south right now on Interstate 405, headed to my connection to 522 East, which will take me to Highway 2, and Highway 2 is going to take me up into the mountains. As I'm driving along the highway here, this is a good time to tell you that I have the tires, all four of them, inflated cold at 35 pounds. They are probably heated up about just 37 pounds right now, based on how far I've been driving. The road noise is definitely more present than with the all-season tires that I had on here before. Those were a Sumitomo all-season touring kind of tire. Real quiet. These are not quiet. These are definitely got more of that road noise, but I think that's to be expected because they are an all-terrain tire. They're knobby, they've got big lugs on them, they've got bigger spaces, bigger gutters between those lugs, so it's not surprising that there is more road noise. But it's not bad. It is not in any way disturbing me, and if I don't think about it, then I don't really notice it so much. If you're particularly sensitive to road noise, you probably are not looking for a tire like this. Even if you're looking for an all-terrain tire, you are probably looking for something a little more civilized. In the Nokians, that would be the Outpost AT, or that could be the Falcon Wild Peak AT Trails, or the Yokohama Geolanders, the BF Goodrich Trail Terrains. I think those are all an all-terrain tire that hews a little bit more toward a highway or a road tire, and it's probably going to give you a little bit more civilized performance out here on the land of pavement, as well as being a little bit quieter. So think about that. But if you are okay with a little greater rolling resistance and you don't mind a little higher road noise, your purpose is getting the best off-road tire, go ahead and look for something like this, or that could be the Falcon Wild Peak AT3W, or Toyo Open Country, or the KO2s if you don't mind a super heavy tire that is really a truck tire. It's not for something like an Outback. Oh, I guess for those who might not realize or might not know what it is that I'm inside right now, this is a 2018 Subaru Outback 2.5i Premium. So it's the one step up trim in terms of Subaru's vehicles. It's a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, no turbo or anything like that. And because it is the smaller, more fuel-efficient engine that Subaru makes, I definitely, in shopping for wheels and tires, was looking for reduced weight. So even though the KO2 is kind of the gold standard of this sort of tire, they're very heavy, and I was looking to trim weight. So we're about to merge onto 522 here and Gotta get off of the big interstate now because that is State Highway 522. All right, well, I'm on Highway 2 headed east. Just finished passing through Monroe back there. Did encounter some rain between Woodinville and Monroe, so that was nice. Kind of washed some of the spring pollen off of my car, never a bad thing. Looking ahead, I can start to see the Cascades in places where it's cleared out a little bit. In other places, they are quite shrouded in rain clouds. So we'll see what my weather looks like as I get out toward Skykomish and where I plan on heading off of Highway 2. Well, having just passed through Sultan, getting a little bit better glance up into the mountains now, and can see that there is still a pretty decent bit of snow up that way. So who knows, I may actually run into some snow on the roads as well. Forest Service roads, but you know, roads nonetheless. So that is the direction that I am heading, right up there into that pass in the mountains with all of that snow. Well, here we go. I just passed Skykomish a moment ago on Highway 2 East, and in just a little bit here I will be making my turn onto Beckler River Road. I am now on Beckler River Road. Not really going to be off-roading today. I'm on Forest Service roads, or will be on Forest Service roads. What I'm really working on doing here is what you might call soft roading. And that just means that it's not hard paved road like what I'm on right at the moment. A little bit of macadam here. But I am going to be getting onto some dirt and gravel and rocks and all of that kind of stuff. So should be really nice. All right, well, I am off of the pavement and I am onto the Forest Service roads. And this is a little bit of a different route than I have usually taken coming up here. So I'm just gonna be exploring for a little bit. I am using Onyx Off-Road app. I've got some downloaded areas here for offline viewing and just gonna see where it takes me. So a couple other things about what I'm doing today. I am not airing down my tires ahead of time. That is an option depending on what kind of conditions I find up here. But for today, I'm going to keep at full inflation until I need to not do so. A couple other things as we're heading up here. This Outback that I am driving does not have any kind of lift kit on it, so I am riding at factory ground clearance. And I do not yet have any skid plates on the car. So I'm going to be mindful of what I drive over that could get kicked up. Now, at the moment, the road is pretty much hard packed dirt, little bits of gravel, a lot of potholes, some real big potholes. I am mostly, when I think about what might be kicked up, I'm mostly thinking about woody kind of debris right now, because that is already what I've been passing as I've been along here, is stuff that has come down, branches, trees, things like that, that are leaving their splintered remains on the road and could be a factor there. This being a Subaru, I do have full-time symmetrical all-wheel drive to help me out here. I also have X mode. Now, this is not the new model Wilderness where you've got the dual mode X mode. I've just got plain old X mode here. And I will bring it into play if I need it. But right now, I don't think that's going to be a factor. Not unless, well, let's see. I could be a factor depending on what I encounter in the way of mud, what I encounter in the way of possible snow. Here is a very deep pothole that I'm just going to span right across. But that is what we're looking at. So right now, just fully aired up, all-terrain tires, normal Subaru suspension, normal Subaru off-road all-wheel drive, and see where this takes us. I will say one of the things that I've done here is I have pulled off of, or I did pull off of the main stretch of Beckler River Road pretty quickly. In fact, I turned off of that almost as soon as I turned onto it. And part of the reason for wanting to do that is because I wanted to get out and explore someplace that I haven't been before, but I also wanted to see what I would find. Now, this is the second time that I've really taken my Outback onto these soft roads. The first time, though, was with the original all-season tires, and that was back on roads that are primarily used by the folks doing logging around here. So believe it or not, the roads were actually in really good shape because they see far less traffic than the roads that take people up to most of the really prevalent trailheads. Now, if I had continued up Beckler River Road, I would have been on my way up to a number of the places that there are a lot of trailheads. Instead, this road that I pulled off, I don't know if it actually leads up to any trailheads at all. Interestingly, I am about to go through an open gate, but the road's definitely on the rougher side, so this is an area that has been logged out. I can see a lot of denuded slopes around me. So yeah, we'll just kind of continue seeing where it takes us up here in the rain. I also just got the notification on my dash that the outside temperature has just hit 37 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the point at which my car will throw up a warning about potential icy conditions ahead. So we'll see where this takes us, but this is a fairly rutted, rough road up in this direction. There's some deeper channels in it that are the result of the water flowing down the road surface. Oh, actually the rain that is falling is starting to look just a tiny bit like snowflakes as it's impacting my dash. So we'll keep an eye on that. We will see what we experience as we head up this way. My general speed is remaining around 10 miles an hour right now as we continue up this direction. There's a couple of good spots here if I were to need a turnaround, but let's head up. Oh, this is some newly dumped crush here. I'm gonna guess courtesy of whatever company logs up in this direction, but pretty, that was nice back there. I suspect they tossed that in there to help out with what was probably a fairly muddy area. The new tires are performing very well. I'm not feeling any slip. They seem to have great traction. They are grabbing hold of this road surface very nicely. Of course, if I were to air them down, drop them from the, let's double check here. We are currently running at 36 pounds PSI in the tires. I think if I were to drop them down 5-10 pounds, not only would I see just great traction, but like I said, the traction's been good so far. I think the immediate thing I would see would be a little bit comfier ride, but it's not too bad, honestly. Especially since the main point of comparison that I have was my old Escape, where the suspension was feeling pretty iffy there toward the end of the escapes run. So, all in all, feels good. Everything is performing very much to the spec that I would hope for. And I specifically chose a route here that would have me climbing because I want to get a feel for the uphill, and then I also want to, when we turn around and head back down, because none of these roads out here are going to loop around. That's just not going to happen. I'm passing a road there on the left that is not marked on Onyx, which probably tells me that that is a private road, or rather a road that leads onto private land very quickly. And so I would probably, as I've found up here in different areas, probably hit a gate very quickly. Whereas right now I'm following the nice green line on Onyx that tells me that this is a known and open route. Some nice potholes I'm popping through there. I hit a little bit of a smoother section there, less of the big crush rock and ruts, but I think we're about to get back to big crush and ruts. So, take things a little bit slower here as we go through this. Back down to about 5 miles an hour as we climb through some bigger rocks. Speaking of which, I've got a big rock on my left that I'm about to ride my wheels up onto. There we go. As I think about what the bunch of broken woody debris there, so again, careful, I don't want to kick anything up into my underbody. But what I'm generally doing as I'm driving along here is, even knowing that this Outback has got better ground clearance than my Escape did, I'm still definitely thinking in terms of, either planting my wheels up on something that's a little bit of a bigger obstacle, or going ahead and trying to center over it. And there is now, well, the rain that's falling is definitely coming down more as snow, and I'm just starting to now hit a little bit of snow on the road. Now, these Nokian tires are 3-peak rated, so I do have better than not, or was it 3 mountain peak snowflake rated, whatever you want to call them. So I should anticipate better snow and ice performance than if they were not that, but they are not full-on winter tires, nor am I currently carrying chains, simply because the chains that I do have are for the tires that I replaced, and I did go with a little bit bigger tire. The tires that were on here before, the Sumitomo All Seasons, were 225/65 17s. These are 235/65 17s. So the chains, or cable, to be more accurate, the cables that I had were not going to fit these slightly larger tires. So right now the snow is just off to the side. Everything on the roadbed itself is dirt, rock, and water. But if I start to fully drive on snow, I will probably look for a place to turn around, just because that's not what I'm out here for today. So I did just get to a spot in the road where it looks like the snow is becoming a little more prevalent. It's actually, there have been some tire ruts that I've been following up here, and they actually get about 3 feet into the snow and stop, and I can see some footprints. Now, they're old treads. These are, there's not somebody, I didn't pass anybody, nor do I anticipate anybody further up. Question is turning around. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out of the car here for just a moment, take a look up ahead and take a look behind and see what's going to be the best spot to actually do a turnaround. So, all right, well, went a little ways up the road here and a little ways back. There's a okay turnaround spot just behind me here a little bit. Up ahead, not so much. In fact, the snow gets deep enough that it got inside my boots a couple of times, and further ahead than this spot behind me, there is a pretty good mound of snow coming down one side of the road, and that could be the same foot or so of snow that is sitting on top of the like a mudslide, a rock slide there, or it could be just a pretty big drift of snow. Either way, it's not something that I'm comfortable driving over. So I'm going to see about backing up here and head back down a little bit. Because like I said, snow, not what I'm after today. I ended up backing down quite a bit further than I had planned, just because the spot that I thought I was going to be using for a turnaround just didn't feel good. It looked okay when I was out on foot, but once I was back in the car using the mirrors and the rear view camera, not so much. So I ended up backing down probably about probably for a good 5 minutes, but the camera makes that relatively easy. So now I'm back headed forward and starting my way back down again. The plan here, because it is still coming down quite a bit as far as what's falling is coming down as snow. Now it's hitting my windshield and melting immediately. But I'm gonna get back down to the Beckler River Road and then head a little bit further up that way, just see what it's like. One other reason, besides not having chains, that I did not want to get into a real snowy kind of area. Well, two reasons. One, I'm alone. I do not have anybody else with me in the car. I do not have anybody else with me in another vehicle. So I am out here self-supported for anything that I get into. Second thing is, and you know, this is totally my mistake, but I did not bring my inReach with me. That's my my Garmin satellite communicator. So I did not bring that with me because I figured at no point was I going to be getting onto super back ways. Now, depends on your definition. I think quite a few of my acquaintances and co-workers would view what I'm doing right now as being pretty backcountry. But of course, to me, to get real backcountry, you've got to be on foot and heading up a trail, not on an actual road that you've only been driving up for 30 minutes or so. So anyways, I didn't bring my inReach. I don't have my satellite communicator with me, which means I am not going to I'm gonna stay safe. I'm not gonna do anything that might be a little borderline or edge casey. When things started to get a little bit gnarly there, I turned and headed back down. So that's where we're at now, and we'll see where we get to. I am, by the way, now using X mode for my descent here, and I am doing so not because it's strictly necessary, although you can argue one way or the other for that, but I have been starting to ride the brakes down here a little bit as I go down, and so X mode is preferable to that. But the other reason why I wanted to engage X mode is because the one other time that I've really been back on roads like this, I didn't have a good understanding of what X mode was or what it was for. So when I started using it, and I used it very briefly, I was like, I'm hearing braking, I didn't understand at that point that the way that X mode works, and I'm using it kind of in its hill descent mode right now. I didn't realize that what it would be doing, you know, individual wheel braking. So when I heard that starting to happen, I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Is this thing malfunctioning? I don't know here. So I am better educated now about X mode and how my Subaru is designed to handle these sorts of things. And so I'm using X mode in its intended way. Just got out of that, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back off again and let things keep going through here. Oh, and here comes another car up in this same direction that I just came from. That was actually another Subaru. I was all set to roll down my window and give him the beta on the road up ahead, but, well, he or she, couldn't really see in, just kept on going as I sort of pulled into the shoulder there a little bit. So I will let them explore on their own. They were driving a Crosstrek. Anyways, I'm back in X mode. I might have said that already, just letting it roll me down here about 5 miles an hour, which for the condition of the road that I'm on right now feels about right. My understanding of X mode, and this is not the place to try that out, but my understanding of X mode is that I could theoretically slow it down by applying the brakes, slow it down as much as about 2 miles an hour. Like I said, right around 5.5, or use the accelerator to speed it up as much as 10 miles an hour. But I am now actually on a stretch where I'm going a little bit uphill again, so I think I'm going to take X mode off until I get back to doing some downhill. So I've had a few chances now to deal with some downhill on mud and ruts and rocks using X mode in its hill descent configuration, or for its hill descent purpose. I've had it down below 5 miles an hour. I've had it up to 10 miles an hour, varying slopes up and down, and works great. Very happy with that. This is a real ruddy bit right here. Let me slow that way down. Let everything do its trick there at about 2 miles an hour. All right, there's a big washed out guttery kind of bit there in the middle of the road that I had to go over. All right. But as I've been letting X mode do its thing, letting my Outback do its thing, these tires have been performing absolutely flawlessly. I have felt no slipping, no areas of lacking grip. Some cross cuts there across the road. Different than my normal cross cut, not a saw in this case, but diagonal rutted out gullies in the road. I don't know if those are properly called crosscuts in this sense, or if one of the YouTubers who I've watched just uses that term for that kind of thing, and now I'm just perpetuating what he does. So, but anyways, everything's working really, really well here. I've gotten down low enough now where, while I'm still seeing some snowflakes mixed in, it is mostly rain that is coming down. So we're also getting back under some of the bigger trees there, not in the logged out areas anymore. Besides that Crosstrek who I passed, the only other person I've seen up here was a Tacoma that passed me just a little ways back there. So definitely not too many people up here. It does make me wonder, are they just out exploring same as I am, or are they also or rather, I should say, are they rather headed to some specific destination that they know of up that away that I am not familiar with? Don't know. I can definitely look at the map more later on, kind of get a feel for that, but for right now, we're just gonna go ahead and keep on keeping on here. Potholes, potholes, potholes. All right. The clip that I have my phone in is not really well designed or well suited for looking out the front here. It is better set for looking back at me, which is why a lot of the video today is going to be that. But it gives you at least a little bit of a look-see at what my driving route here looks like. Getting back down pretty close to where I'll be able to hit Beckler River Road again, and that'll be a little bit of a smoother drive there for a bit. But this has been my jaunt up this direction. Yeah, I've got to drive under a few of these little nature's archways here. Narrow spot right here that I came through earlier. On my left here, just a broken off bit of alder. Squeaking through there, a little bit of mud, ruts, all kind of wrapped up in one spot there. And we'll find the same thing right there. So my third vehicle of the drive today, it was a big old Ford Expedition or Excursion, or I don't know, whatever. I think it's an Expedition. Anyways, they were right down just off of Beckler River Road, which is what I am back on now, which is why things are so nice and smooth, is because I'm back on pavement for just a little bit. They seem to be pretty nonplussed there by the conditions that they had found, and had gone just a little ways up the dirt, the gravel, and were looking for a good spot to turn back around. So I don't know if their intent was to try to be back here on Beckler River or what the idea was, but they are, I think they might be back there behind me now. Anyways, we'll see where this takes me out and see how far I go out this way. Gonna slow things down real nice going right through here, because there's a deer hanging out right on the side of the road, and I do not need that hassle. My car's in good shape. I don't want to hit any big old thing. Speaking of hitting things, there are quite a few downed alders around here, which is not too surprising because alders come down real easy. But been a couple of spots, and I'm still on the paved part of Beckler here. There have been several places where there have been alders that have been very obviously fairly recently cut out or topped, or spots like I'm going around right now where an alder has come down. Actually, that's not an alder at all. That was some sort of hemlock probably, and blocking about half the road, just kind of sticking in there. There was an alder that was down blocking about half of the road back a little ways. So I imagine that, you know, it's mid-April, but up here that means that we are still more or less in winter, and there could still be some winter storms. I know there's some sleet, hail, snow being forecasted for this area tonight, so it's not surprising if they are not coming down or coming out and cutting out all of the things that are blocking the road just now, because there could be more. And for the limited manpower, limited budget of the Forest Service, there's only so many times they're going to be able to come out here in the course of this winter-spring season to cut things out. So I imagine that they'd rather come through with a chainsaw crew a few weeks or a month from now and take out everything that isn't completely blocking the road in one pass. But That's just me guessing. So as I've said more than once, this is the Beckler River Road, which means that river running just off there to my left would be the Beckler River. And there's a fun little detail that you get to see. Well, actually, the river has moved a ways further away, but just to my left, if I had to guess, about 50 feet or so to my left is where the wilderness boundary actually starts back up. And for those of you who are not aware, one of the things that makes a designated wilderness what it is that you cannot maintain or build new roads in wilderness areas. So part of the reason for why this is structured the way it is that wilderness, and it's the Wild Sky Wilderness, that wilderness boundary is just right over there. Like I said, 50, 100, 150 feet, it varies a little bit. And it's over there so that they've got the right-of-way that they need to maintain this road. So, little bit of information, a little bit of knowledge for you about how the wilderness boundaries work. Although it's moved a little bit further away, and we are now off the pavement again. All right, so this is the stretch where the Beckler River Road becomes unpaved, and we've got some different choices. So Forest Road 65 keeps on going straight ahead. I think that's what I'm gonna follow. It's what I'm most familiar with, although I've of course been up. 6530 heads up this direction, also known as, actually there's two of them. So while this is the Beckler River Road straight ahead, there is a hard right that takes us to Johnson Creek Road, and then Rapid Creek, something like that, is a little bit of an easier right. But I'm gonna keep going straight ahead here, partly because there's a car coming up behind me now and I don't want to get in their way. So we cross a little bridge right here and we keep on going up Beckler River Road, which is definitely showing some winter damage. We got some real potholes out here. Also got snow straight ahead, so we may not go all that far up Beckler River Road after all, but we will see and check back in here in a minute. Well, I had been hoping to make it at least as high as Jack Pass here on Beckler River Road, but I do not think that is going to be in the cards for today, because I've still got quite a ways up to go, not just up, but up. And this road is just getting more and more snow covered. We've already hit a couple of spots where even trying to keep it in the ruts, I'm getting shoved side to side. So I think, and it doesn't take much of a shove then to send you off the shoulder of the road either. So I think this is probably as far as I'm gonna go. This is an earlier turnaround than I had been hoping for, but it is nonetheless still been a good day out here. It's given me a chance to be more comfortable with my Subaru's performance in these kind of situations, and has given me a lot more time now with my new all-terrain tires in the kind of environments that I bought them for. So now I just need to decide, am I going to try to turn around straight ahead here, just 20 feet or so, in a pretty snowy area, or try backing up a ways into the non-snowy area. I'm gonna try going ahead just a little bit, see what it feels like. Oh, I am getting just pushed all over the place. Now, at no point here is my Subaru acting like it can't do it. However, if I want to try to turn around, I'm talking about pulling into undisturbed snow, And I think that is just a no-go. So we are gonna go ahead, put it in reverse here, and deal with things back there. Like, stick in the ruts, and I think I could probably go quite a bit higher, but yeah, potholy area right here. And it's all like cross potholes, so it's like left, right. So just take that kind of careful through there. Now, one of the things that I really love about the Beckler River Road, which is, it's a central road, but it's kind of it's the heart of a whole nexus of roads. One of the things I really love about up here, though, is that there is a ton of dispersed camping. In fact, I have seen several people out here with camps set up as I've just been coming up this way. And if you are looking to do the kind of camping which is sort of right off the road, it's not a campground, it's not campsites, or at least they're not properly campsites. They are campsites in the sense that people have made them into campsites, but I do not suspect that there is a picnic table or anything like that set up there. It's a great location for that, and it's not exactly overlanding up here, but it's definitely an opportunity to come out and do that kind of thing. Like just looking at there's a campground right off to my side here, other side of the river. And it is pretty much just a car. Looks like it might even be a Subaru. That's just pulled up, got a blue tarp set up off the side of it. Just off to my right-hand side here is one of the nicest, I think, dispersed camping areas. But it's down into a bowl, and that bowl is all snow, and I am not getting down there. So, just gonna go ahead and keep on heading out. Back to the main sort of before it splits part of Beckler River Road. Still on dirt for just a moment longer, but here we go, transitioning back to pavement. So today's excursion did not last as long as I would have liked, nor did I spend as much time on dirt and rock as I would have liked, but it gave me a chance to get out, get a feel for my new tires, how they're going to perform. Got to play around a little bit, got to enjoy some, I hesitate to even call this adverse weather. I mean, this is the Pacific Northwest after all. Little rain, little sleet, little snow. That's not adverse. That's just it's a pretty spring day out here. But anyways, I'm back onto the pavement, headed back south, winding south anyways, back towards Highway 2 and get headed back home. So, good day. Just give a little bit of a look here at what I'm driving through. The outside temperature, according to my car here, is reading at 34 degrees, which is why all that was rain is now starting to look a lot more like snowflakes. So, don't know how much colder it's supposed to get tonight, but it doesn't take much more than a few more degrees at this point for us to start getting into, yeah, real potential accumulation. There's a big old sinkhole right in the middle of Beckler River Road here, which if you don't know it's coming, it's going to make you slow down a whole bunch. Actually, if you do know it's coming, you're going to slow down. It's more a matter of how much you slow, how quickly you slow, depends on whether you knew to expect it or not. and what kind of condition your suspension and tires are in afterward. Look at all this coming down. If this were October instead of April, I'd be all, whee, it's winter, snow! But this is mid-April, and yeah, this is a winter that is just hanging on here for a little bit of extra. Now, get down out of here, back down into Seattle, and it's just going to be rain. Snow here is not going to be snow in Seattle. We're up in the Cascades. We are up at a higher bit of elevation. Don't know off the top of my head what that elevation is right here. You can always check and see, but this is one of those early spring, late winter snowfalls in the mountains. And if this is what's falling right here, this is what's falling around Skycomish, then I can only imagine what is coming down up higher, even up just like up the road here at Stevens Pass, which is probably 1,000 feet or so higher than where we are right now. So anyways, it's still winter up here in the Cascade Mountains. Driving around today, of course, I've also been on pavement, been on wet pavement, been on dry pavement, and now I am on pavement where the outside temperature, according to my car, is hanging out at freezing, right at 32 degrees. And all of this pavement driving, wet, dry, potentially icy, has all felt very, very confident. These tires have felt like they are just maintaining an excellent, excellent grip the entire time, which is, you know, a nice thing to be experiencing. One of the things of buying a set of tires like this was not just for that all-terrain driving back there, but you buy a set of winter-rated all-terrain tires, or the ice and snow all-terrain tires, low temperature, free mountain peak snowflake all-terrain tires. You buy a set of those because your hope is that the rubber compound that they use is going to behave itself very, very well in driving conditions like this. And the driving conditions right now are looking out the windshield, and there are great big sloppy snowflakes falling through the sky and hitting me in the glass. So far these tires are giving me a great deal of confidence in their ability to handle a wide variety of conditions, both atmospheric, road surface, everything. So, very, very pleased right now. It's a big grin. And how do you wrap up a drive out in the mountains, out Highway 2? With dinner at Zeke's. Yeah. I just want to do a little postscript right here. This is one of the trees that is definitely come down and blocking things up here. And I don't know how well you can see, but it's a pretty good sized tree. Without going over and getting real close to it, I would estimate that we're probably looking somewhere between 14 and 18 inches diameter right there. Going out. It's mostly a lot of branches and stuff hanging over the top, but hanging out of the road pretty good there. And the reason why folks who are actually trained and experienced in cutting up trees like this out here, folks like myself, look askance at, let's call them enthusiastic amateurs, is because if you don't know what you're looking at here, you don't know that this is an alder. Or maybe you do know that this is an alder, but you don't know what alder acts like when it's in this kind of condition and when you're cutting it up. And honestly, you would be safer playing with nitroglycerin filled drumsticks than getting up close and personal with an alder like this without knowing what you're in for. Because alder is a tree that holds an enormous amount of tension, an enormous amount of force inside of its fibers, and it releases that force explosively. This is, of all the trees that are down around here, all the tree species, alder, and a big alder like this is a very dangerous tree to approach without following a whole lot of specific safety procedures. So that's why I say, if you don't have that experience, if you don't have that training, maybe don't come out here with your chainsaw or your little folding saw and think, oh, I can help out people. I can get this cleared off the road. This is an experienced team-only tree, please. Anyways, ding, the more you know.